Maverick fans, what's going on? Welcome into NBA Now here on Chat Sports. With you today, I'm your host, Jimmy Crowther, breaking down the latest news and rumors going around Mavs Nation. And we start with one guy that I think I've talked about on every Maverick show here on Chat Sports since I started, and that is Kemba Walker, the Charlotte Hornets point guard for now. But once free agency opens, probably not a member of the Hornets for much longer. It's being reported that the newest frontrunner, the leader in the clubhouse to sign him, are the Boston Celtics. Now, of course, the Mavs were always interested. They've been interested from the start. They were willing to give him a max contract. And now, all of a sudden, Boston, they're losing Kyrie, probably losing Al Horford. They need to call up Kemba and say, hey, you can come run this team with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Mavs connected for a while. Hornets can still offer that supermax, but it's becoming less and less likely that they actually do because it would hinder them for a long time when it comes to cap space. So, of course, Mavs, Boston, Hornets, probably the top three teams interested in Kemba as of right now. Boston leading that race. I'd put Dallas in as a close second, maybe not so close anymore. And then Charlotte is quickly becoming a distant third. And you got to remember the New York Knicks still want to bring him home if they can't land any of their other top guys. And the Los Angeles Lakers, who now have max space, need a point guard. Wouldn't be surprised if they get in late on the Kemba race. So if he does go to Boston, if it actually ends up happening, if he spurns the Hornets, if he says no to Dallas, this is what you're looking at in Boston for now. Kemba's your starting point guard, and you put Jaylen Brown back there in the backcourt. He bolsters that defense. He's become a really solid player since going into Boston. Right now, I've got Gordon Hayward starting at the small forward position. If he can finally get healthy, get back to 100%, get back to what he was in Utah, it's a pretty dangerous player right there. Jason Tatum, 15.7 points per game last season, still kind of coming around. He's still turning into what could be a go-to type player. And for now, I've got Robert Williams starting in at center. But should they land Kemba, I fully expect that to change and for them to be able to sign a better player to be in the middle, be the big man down low. So that's what you're looking at in Boston. What would you look at in Dallas? Let's say he does end up going to the Mavericks and it's not Boston anymore. Well, then you got Kemba and Tim Hardaway Jr. potentially as your backcourt. Maybe you could sub out Hardaway, put in a guy like Finney-Smith if they bring him back, maybe Justin Jackson if they believe in him. And then the Rookie of the Year, Luka Doncic, is your starting forward alongside Kristaps Porzingis, who's finally going to get healthy right there. And then Dwight Powell is your starting center in Dallas. Look, the better top two players Dallas has them, and Luka and Porzingis. The better all-around roster right now, it is Boston, okay? I understand where Kemba's coming from. In Boston, he can still be the go-to guy. If he ends up going to Dallas, he's second, potentially third option at times, and maybe he doesn't want that. Maybe he still wants to shoulder a load like he could in Boston. Now, the top three teams are becoming increasingly pretty obvious. It's Boston, it's Dallas, and it's Charlotte. Probably in that order. So I want to know from you guys, from the fans, where should Kemba Walker sign this summer? If you think it's Dallas type D, if you think it's Boston type B, if you think he should go back to Charlotte, potentially for the Supermax, type C in the comment section. Now on to another point guard that the Mavericks could be targeting, potentially their new starting point guard next season, Patrick Beverley, the gritty 3-and-D player from the Los Angeles Clippers. Played a great year this past season, obviously showed out in the playoffs, showed that he can defend guys like Kevin Durant, even though he's only 6'1". And all of a sudden, it's starting to seem like it's not just Dallas showing interest in Beverley, but Beverley's showing interest in Dallas. There seems to be a mutual interest here between the free agent and the Mavs. The report came out that he is seeking at least starting salary, 3 years, $40 million. So that's about $13 million per year. Of course, Beverley only made $5 million last season. His career earnings sit at about $25 million, so the guy's looking to get paid. And as a defensive guard, I think he deserves money around that $10 to $15 million range. So now where's all this coming from? Well, Brad Townsend, who's been on top of all the Maverick news all offseason long, says Beverley is a top target for the Mavericks, and the veteran guard and the team view one another as a, quote, perfect fit. The two sides are expected to meet at the start of free agency, which, by the way, we'll be live for here on Chat Sports June 30th. When everyone starts meeting, we're going to be here telling you every little thing that goes down. Now, if it's not the Mavericks, where could Pat Bev look to sign? Well, I think it's becoming pretty obvious that the Mavs are the top contender to sign him, but also Maybe he wants to go back to the Clippers. That is definitely an option. They have the money. They could still bring him back. Maybe it's the Lakers. Now, they have the max cap space. They won't be offering him all that money, but if they miss on a guy like Kemba, or they miss on a guy like Kyrie, D'Angelo Russell, Patrick Beverley is a great backup option. Phoenix Suns need a veteran point guard to kind of anchor that team. Maybe he makes sense there. And then the Chicago Bulls are a hometown favorite. Of course, he grew up there. They need a point guard. Chris Dunn ain't cutting it. So maybe Pat Bev's the new point guard in Chicago, but he's asking for this much money. Now, why is he actually asking for this much money? Because you see his numbers, and they don't particularly stand out outside of nearly 40% from beyond the three-point arc. But defensively, Patrick Beverley is a special player, okay? He can defend multiple positions at his size, or at his ability and the way he plays defense. But one thing that's really important to remember is that if you go out and get Patrick Beverley, and you get him for around $13 million, that leaves you enough money to go out and sign some of these other guys that won't be demanding a max contract. Maybe it's a guy like Danny Green, of course, a great 3-and-D player for the Toronto Raptors. Maybe it's a guy like Al-Farouq Aminu, who can play either forward position. Bojan Bogdanovic going to be a little bit more expensive than these other guys. Still not a max player. And then Nikola Mirotic. And if you stick around a little bit longer, we'll get into him a little bit more in depth. So what would Dallas look like with Patrick Beverley? Well, here's what I've cooked up, because if you get Pat Bev, you're going to go get somebody else. And right now I've got them going and getting Danny Green. And that's your new starting backcourt alongside Luka, Porzingis, and Dwight Powell. Maybe you sign another guy to come off the bench, maybe like an Ed Davis type player to bolster the front court. Whatever it is, I like this lineup for Dallas. It's two great shooters and two great defenders, and Patrick Beverley and Danny Green is as your new backcourt. But the real question is here, are the Mavs really willing to offer that $13 million per year? Are they really willing to give Patrick Beverley $40 million over 3 years? If you think they should, I want you to type Y for yes in the comment section below. If you don't think they should, if you think that's overpaying Patrick Beverley, type in the comment section. Now, I just promised you we'd get to this guy, so here we go. Nikola Mirotic. The newest rumor in Dallas is that there is reported interest between the Mavs and Mirotic. He is further down their, quote, wish list than Patrick Beverley is. But as a non-max guy, Nikola Mirotic actually makes a lot of sense. You need some shooting. Nikola Mirotic is a stretch four. I mean, that's all he does. You put him in there. Maybe you start him alongside Porzingis or you bring him off the bench. Either way, the guy had an outstanding year last season for Milwaukee, putting up 15 and 7 rebounds per game. But what matters here is 36.5% from three. That is why he's going to get a sizable contract this summer. I would expect it to be around 10 to 15, pretty similar to Patrick Beverley. And I think that makes sense for Dallas. They get a shooter, they get another big man to put alongside Porzingis. Here's the lineup of what it would look like if you want to put him in the starting five. I still think you could bring him off the bench. You let Powell start. But if he's in the starting five, you got Beverley, you got Luka, Porzingis, Mirotic, and Hardaway. A lot of good shooting in that lineup. An important thing to remember here is that Nikola Mirotic is a Bill Duffy client. Now, why does that matter? Because there's a lot of Bill Duffy clients entering free agency. And you know who else is a Bill Duffy client? It's Luka Doncic. So, Patrick Beverley, Nikola Vucevic, Nikola Mirotic, Kelly Oubre, and Cheick Diallo are all guys entering free agency that are Bill Duffy clients that the Mavs and Bill Duffy could potentially work together to put them on the same team. So those are the top 5 of his clients right there. I just gave you the list. Which of those 5 should the Mavs be pursuing the hardest in free agency? If you think it's Patrick Beverley, maybe it's Mirotic, maybe it's Vucevic, let me know in the comment section. And speaking of Duffy clients, Cheick Diallo. You're like, who the heck is Cheick Diallo? I'm about to tell you, because the Mavericks are interested in the guy. He could potentially make sense as an off-the-bench kind of high-energy player. The Mavs need to bolster that front court, bolster the front court depth. That's kind of what Cheick Diallo does for you. He's only 22 years old. He hasn't really reached his potential, hasn't really had a chance to reach his potential yet. But if he does, it sort of makes some sense. And this rumor is coming from Tim McMahon, who's super plugged in with the Dallas Mavericks. He says another Duffy client that is a potential fit for the Mavs, Cheick Diallo, who is unrestricted after the Pelicans did not make a qualifying offer. He's 22 with potential to be Kenneth Faried type bench energy big. That's pretty enticing, if you ask me. And the guy's per 36 stats are really impressive. So you see when he at least gets a chance, he can put up good numbers. 15.5 points per game, 13.3 rebounds per game, and shooting 62% from the field. Of course, most of those coming from around the rim because he is a 6'9" power forward. I actually kind of like this pickup. Not for much money, give him just a little bit, maybe even a minimum contract and bring him in. I'd like it for Dallas. I think Diallo could actually benefit from being a Maverick pretty well. But I got a question for you. All right, be honest, don't lie to me. Did you actually know who Cheick Diallo was before this segment? Before I mentioned him in the rumors, before you saw him on Tim McMahon's Twitter, did you actually know who he was? Let me know in the comment section below. Last rumor, actually not a rumor. This is cold hard facts. This is some news for you guys. The Dallas Mavericks have officially extended qualifying offers to Maxi Kleber and Dorian Finney-Smith. Now, why the heck does this matter? Because both of them are now restricted free agents, meaning anything that a team offers them, the Dallas Mavericks can immediately match that offer. The Mavs would love to keep both of these guys for their young core. They've been around for a while and they know the organization. And you see what both of them did this past season. The numbers, not super impressive, okay? Let's be honest. They're both role guys. They're not players you're going to go out and max out or anything crazy like that, but they put up solid numbers for role players. And one of the important things about these guys is that they both help anchor this Dallas defense in different ways. Maverick block leaders this past season, this isn't including guys like DeAndre Jordan, who wasn't on the team the full year, but Maxi Kleber finished first, 78 blocks this past season, Dwight Powell 50, and then Finney-Smith, who's actually just a small forward, was third on the Mavs with 36 blocks. Also, both of them are great three-point shooters. Of the Mavericks that were on the team the entire season, Dorian Finney-Smith and Maxi Kleber both finished in the top 3 in total three-pointers made. So you can easily see why these guys are important for the Mavs to keep around next season when they actually look to make a push for the playoffs. But if you have to choose one, let's say one of them goes out and gets overpaid. Maybe they both do, and you got to choose one to bring back. Which one do you think the Dallas Mavericks should prioritize this summer? Type DFS for Dorian Finney-Smith, and then just type Max for Maxi Kleber. Thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.